I think it's about access to stories, and I think it's also access to particular sources. But I think it's also about stories. I mean, I think partly what academic work is doing in the humanities more broadly is we're telling stories about the research that we find, which isn't to say we're fabricating things, but we are constructing narratives, truthful narratives about piecemeal bits of evidence that we're putting together in various kinds of ways. And those stories can have different central protagonists. They can have different emphases, just like a novel can have a different set of characters, or a different plot line can emerge more strongly in one kind of novel than another. And sometimes I think the questions and the conversations that we have with non-academic colleagues who are, academic colleagues are always much more concerned, as they should be, with what's the contribution to the existing conversations within our community, where we all have the same shared, for the most part, frame of reference. If you go beyond the academy, where people don't necessarily have that shared frame of reference, where they're coming in with a different set of questions, you realize that other stories might be worth telling more than the ones that you thought you were going to have to tell. If you're I find it incredibly liberating, actually, to just sort of have to talk to people about the work that I'm doing, for whom things that I take for granted are not necessarily taken for granted. And then I go back and think again about the assumptions and the underpinning assumptions that I have as a scholar, and I think, okay, but so how do I have the knowledge that I have? And it's a process of unthinking for me in the most generative kind of way.